Welcome, everyone, to the Tethys Shipyards. I am Takeshi Yamato, the Yardmaster, joining our host, the Housecoat Gamer.
Yo.
Today, we are covering the Constitution 2 class, also sometimes called the Connie Refit.
Though her official title is Constitution 2 class. Thank you, Terry Metalis.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the man as much credit as he deserves because he managed to more or less drop the hammer on STD and go, alternate timeline. Bitch.
Yep.
Regardless, it's time for the lore. During the late 2260s, it was discovered the Constitution class, despite its incredible capabilities, was starting to age a little. But then again, rule of thumb in military and scientific development is you always have its replacement ready on the horizon. That said, the replacement for the Constitution class, the Excelsior and Constellation class, were having technical issues, let's just say.
Yeah.
Quad warp nacelles, while not an uncommon thing, see the Cardenas class, the non-STD version for more details.
Yep.
Getting those warp engines balanced was not exactly easy, and the Excelsior class, well, there's a reason the Federation class has a registry code higher than the Excelsior.
Yeah.
Its development took an eternity.
Yeah. So Starfleet decided they would take their existing Constitution classes and revamp them.
Fortunately, they had a halfway step in the form of the so-called Jeffries class, otherwise known as Project Phase 2.
This was decent, but not quite. But still wasn't quite enough. So they passed it over to everyone's favorite Scotsman.
While the USS Excalibur, yes, the same ship that was crippled beyond repair thanks to M5, was used successfully for these tests, well, Scotty managed to get the ship refit into a far better design, utilizing some elements of new Type 2 technology, most of which had been in testing for, well, since Kirk left Space Dock.
Yeah.
And was in fact seen right here with the Jeffries class. Or really the Excalibur 1 class. Or Excalibur, or pre-Excalibur, whatever you want to call it. Regardless, it was decided to utilize these new components in a brand new starship design, built upon the bones of the Constitution class. Because Constitution Refit had already been in use, hint, hint,
Yep.
Cage Connie, Refit Connie. And because it was so similar to the original, they decided just, what the hell, we'll just call it the Constitution 2. And, really, it works. There were many new improvements to the systems. Improved structural integrity, mostly taken from Kirk's little jaunt around the galaxy. New power systems, including a new vertically oriented warp core. And superior defensive and offensive systems, with high-powered pulse phaser banks. A bit of a half-step between the true beams and the Defiance pulse cannons.
Yep.
Of course, they had the problem of cutting out when warp power was lost. As seen when the Enterprise, NCC 1701, was caught in a little wormhole and couldn't fire her phaser banks. They had to use photon torpedoes.
Yeah.
Teething troubles aside, the Constitution II class was quite successful. Until 2285. There is a word, and it must be said. Actually, it must be yelled. Khan!
Khan!
We'll count that as the echo.
Yeah.
When the USS Reliant crippled the Enterprise, ironically enough the first ship of the class to be refit, hence why some people refer to this unofficially as the Enterprise subclass, later resulting in the ship's destruction over Genesis when an E-12 bird of prey, ironically enough the original E-12, 12 IKS Burrell, disabled the Enterprise, and I'm not reliving through that. I'm not even going to discuss it. We all know what happened.
Yeah, we all know what happened.
I'm not reliving that.
Yeah.
A few months later, roughly into the new year of 2286,
Yeah.
the USS Yorktown, NCC 1717, was crippled and depowered by the Whale probe.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the ship was recovered and eventually rechristened as USS Enterprise, Nova Charlie Charlie 1701 Alpha, beginning the true 1701 legacy, which Kirk kind of secured thanks to his ungodly legendary 5-year mission. I mean, there's a reason that's taught at the Academy. It's required reading.
Yep. And everything else he had done in the meantime. In the aftermath. I mean, going against orders to rescue Spock aside, he saved Earth from V'ger. He beat Khan, and he captured he captured the IKS Burrell and brought it back to Earth as the HMS Bounty.
Which is rather fitting, because after the Enterprise A was retired, she was pretty much put right in front of the Bounty at the Fleet Museum at 8th and Prime.
Yeah, and before he got the A, he helped with the whale probe incident, and in command of the A, Nimbus 3.
We don't discuss Nimbus 3. Nobody wants to talk about Nimbus 3.
Yeah, we will just mention it, and then we will mention Kittimer.
Kittimer was something of the swan song of the entire Constitution II class. In spite of its incredible capability, it was essentially a 45-year-old design with a few upgrades. Thus, and the Klingons didn't exactly like the Constitution class very much. Gee, I wonder why. Yeah, Kirk kept screwing them over.
Yeah.
Regardless of this, the Constitution II class was officially retired shortly after the signing of the Kittimer Accords. They soldiered on for 2 or 3 more years while the Excelsior class ramped up production.
Yes.
Of course, we all know what happened 70 years later.
Yeah.
Thanks to the Borg threat, the ships have been recommissioned and refit, some of which have even served during the Dominion War. Not quite in the same capacity as the cannon fodder that is the Miranda class, as these ships have bigger, more powerful warp cores than the Reliant, and the Miranda certainly don't. But these ships were most certainly rear-line vessels, mostly due to the fact that they are very much prestige objects. You don't want to lose a Connie too.
Yeah.
I mean, Miranda's are dime a dozen. Almost
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah. Connie 2's.
Well, they're the poster child of Starfleet.
Yeah. And even if some of them are still in service, they're not being built anymore.
Regardless, the ships have seen something of a small renaissance. During the 23rd century, the Vesper class, using components from the Excelsior and the original Ambassador class, was introduced, but built in very small numbers. The Excalibur class harkens back to that age, but uses mostly components from the Sovereign class program. And the soon-to-be-released Exeter class utilized components from the Odyssey program. And yes, before anybody asks, we will be doing a vid on the brand new Exeter skin with the Odyssey skin. Hopefully it'll actually include the Type 7A skin, because that would have actually made this a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
Regardless, back to the Connie 2. Let's stat this thing.
Yeah. We're starting with the baseline constitution stat line as shown in Utopia Planitia, in the Utopia Planitia book. Comms, which was Comms 7, Computers 7, Engines 8, Sensors 8, Structure 7, Weapons 7. Had 1 point each in Command, Security, and Science. It was a Scale 4 starship with phaser banks, photon torpedoes, a Strength 3 tractor beam, modular laboratories, rugged design, and the Constitution Saucer Separation Special Rule. And I'll go ahead and read that out from the book. All Constitution class vessels have the capability to detach their saucer section in an emergency used as a lifeboat. However, unlike the saucer separation talent, the Constitution class is unable to redock the detached saucer with the secondary hull outside of a dry dock. Ship systems are halved, rounded down, for the saucer and the secondary hull when separated. The saucer is unable to enter warp speeds, and each section is considered a Scale 3 vessel. However, the saucer is able to land on a planetary surface with extended landing legs that fold down from the ventral side of its hull. In the original series era, the saucer has both phasers and photon torpedoes, and the secondary hull has only phasers, but the opposite is true after the refit program of the 2270s. Now, for the Connie 2, we have upgraded the engines. We've put 1 extra system point into engines, structure, and weapons. So Comms 7, Computers 7, Engines 9, Sensors 8, Structure 8, Weapons 8. Department values are 1 point each in Command, Security, and Science. Again, no need to change that. Same weapons, phaser banks, photon torpedoes, Strength 3 tractor beam, modular laboratories, rugged design. Still has the saucer separation special rule. And I figured the base Federation Starship descriptor trait is perfectly fine. No need for an extra one.
No, yeah, I personally agree. Though, I would also personally add that icon of an era would be pretty accurate.
Alright, I suppose that works.
I mean, look at this thing. I mean, as much as everybody loves the TOS Connie, this has been basically the default form of the Enterprise for almost 50 years at this point. Actually, 45 at this point. Because, you know, the motion picture came out, so this thing has been around and in public consciousness almost as long.
Yeah.
As for hero ships, well, Utopia Planitia does have a Enterprise and Enterprise A version, so I don't think
Well,
we need to cover those.
yeah, mainly the notable starship is the original Enterprise as of 2269. But yeah, I figure that I figure that can be easily updated to 2285 or the Enterprise A as of Kittimer.
It's just a shame. These poor boats. Beloved by so many, yet ditched without a second thought.
Yep.
Politics is a bitch like that.
Yeah.
Oh well. At least the Connie continues to live on at 8th and Prime.
Yep. And its legacy.
All I can say is this, Terry. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for giving the legacy such a good successor in the Connie 3.
In more ways than one. The Titan became the Enterprise G, just like the Yorktown became the Enterprise A. History is pretty like that. Bye-bye.